All right, so welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're going to be doing a deep dive on a newsletter called Exponential Tom.
Okay.
And this newsletter basically covers the last 24 hours in crypto AI and robotics.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. And the coolest thing about it is that it uses, these different AI tools
Oh, wow.
like ChatGPT and Grok and Gemini to synthesize all this information down into the most important stuff, so you don't have to go and read 1,000 different articles. It's like having your own personal research assistant.
Yeah, that's really cool. So what kind of crazy stuff did they find in the last 24 hours?
Well, we've got Bitcoin reacting to some global stuff, a new AI model that's trying to take down ChatGPT.
Really?
Yeah, and robots are learning to do some pretty crazy stuff too.
I'm intrigued.
So should we jump right in?
Let's do it.
All right, let's start with the crypto world. Exponential Tom is saying that Bitcoin dipped below $100,000
Oh, wow.
after Trump announced some new tariffs on China, Mexico, and Canada.
That's interesting.
Yeah. What do you think about that?
Well, Bitcoin is supposed to be like this safe haven asset.
Right, like digital gold.
Yeah, exactly. You'd think people would, run to it when things are uncertain economically.
Right.
But this is kind of showing maybe it's not quite there yet.
So maybe Bitcoin is not ready to replace that gold bar under the mattress.
Maybe you're not yet.
Okay.
I mean, Bitcoin is still pretty new as an asset.
Right.
And lots of things can affect the price, not just the global economy.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
There's speculation and people's feelings, and even tweets from certain people can really...
Oh, yeah. Don't even get me started on the tweets.
Exactly.
Speaking of risky investments, the newsletter also talks about this Ether Strategy Fund collapsing.
Oh.
Which was trying to do the same thing as MicroStrategy, but with Ethereum. What do you think about that?
Well, it kind of shows you how important it is to do your research.
Yeah.
Especially in the crypto world, especially with DeFi. Because just because something works for one asset or one company doesn't mean it'll work for another.
Right.
There are just so many things that can change, and the technology is always evolving.
Yeah, definitely a good reminder to do your research before you jump into any investment, really.
Absolutely.
Okay, so now on a more, maybe positive note.
Okay.
Tether, which is the, big stable coin,
Right.
is making a ton of money. They're reporting $13 billion in profit.
Wow.
Which is double what they made last year.
That's significant for sure.
Yeah. What do you think about that?
Well, stable coins, they offer a way to be in the crypto world.
Right.
But without those crazy price swings that you see with Bitcoin.
Right.
Because they're pegged to something more stable, like the US dollar.
Mm-hmm.
So they're really good for, doing everyday transactions and also for trading.
Okay.
And so this huge profit just shows how much people want that stability.
Mm-hmm.
Even with all the, regulatory stuff surrounding Tether.
So even with all the question marks around regulations, people still really want that convenience.
Yeah, it seems like it.
Okay, interesting. And speaking of big players, Coinbase just bought this company called Spindle.
Oh, I saw that, yeah.
Which is an on-chain advertising platform.
Okay.
What do you think they're trying to do?
That's interesting. Do you think maybe they're trying to be like the Facebook of Web3 advertising?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Remember how Facebook kind of changed everything?
Right.
With their targeted ads based on your data?
Mm-hmm.
Do you think Coinbase is trying to do that, but in the blockchain world?
It's definitely possible. They could use Spindle to connect users with different crypto apps and services.
Yeah.
In a whole new way. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's a pretty big change for how we think about advertising.
Absolutely.
Especially as more and more people are coming into the Web3 space.
For sure.
Okay, and it's not just Coinbase that's getting into blockchain.
Oh, yeah.
The newsletter also mentions that UBS, which is that big Swiss bank, is testing out gold investments on something called ZK Sync.
Oh, interesting.
Have you heard of that?
Yeah. ZK Sync is basically like a technology that makes blockchain transactions more private and efficient.
Okay.
It's like you can prove that you own something without having to tell everyone all the details.
So it's kind of like a secret handshake for the blockchain.
Uh-huh. Exactly.
So what do you think it means that UBS is using this for gold investments?
I think it shows how even these, old school finance companies are starting to see the potential of blockchain.
Yeah.
It makes the whole space seem more legit and could open up a lot of new opportunities.
Yeah, the old guard is finally starting to catch on.
It seems like it.
And Exponential Tom wraps up the crypto section with this prediction that the real world asset market, so RWA, is going to hit $30 trillion by 2030.
Whoa, $30 trillion.
Yeah, it's a pretty huge number.
That's massive. So what does that even mean?
So imagine if you could take real-world assets like, real estate or stocks or even like fine art and put them on the blockchain. And then you can trade them like way more efficiently and transparently, and you have access to like all these investors from around the world.
It's like the whole global economy is getting a digital upgrade.
Exactly. It's pretty wild, right?
It is.
But before we get too lost in like, the metaverse of trillions of dollars,
Right.
let's move on to the AI world.
Okay, let's do it.
What's happening over there?
Well, it looks like ChatGPT might have some competition.
Oh.
Yeah, there's this Chinese company called DeepSeek.
Okay.
And they've got this new AI model that's already doing really well in the Apple App Store.
Wow.
Yeah, it's even surpassing ChatGPT in some areas.
So it's like a battle for the top of the AI mountain.
Yeah, you could say that.
So what does this mean for the average person who just wants to use these cool new tools?
I mean, more competition is usually a good thing, right?
Yeah.
It pushes everyone to be better, and it often leads to lower prices. So we might start to see even more powerful and affordable AI tools coming out.
Oh, okay, that's good news.
Yeah.
It's like a race to the top of the AI mountain with everyone vying for the best view. And speaking of China's AI prowess, the newsletter also mentions Alibaba's Qwen 2.5 Max, claiming it outperforms ChatGPT in certain benchmarks.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It really shows how China is becoming a major player in AI research and development.
Yeah.
Yeah. If Qwen 2.5 Max does what they say it can do, it could shift the balance of power in the AI world.
Really?
Like moving dominance away from Western companies.
Wow, that's a pretty big deal. It makes you wonder how this is all going to play out in terms of like global competition and stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
But let's move on to some maybe less geopolitical news. Google DeepMind has made a breakthrough in robot dexterity. Robots are tying shoelaces and folding clothes now.
Yeah, I saw that.
What?
It might seem like a small thing,
Yep,
but,
yeah.
getting robots to master those fine motor skills has been a huge challenge.
Yeah.
This breakthrough suggests that we're getting closer to robots being able to perform a wider range of tasks in our lives.
So instead of just vacuuming, my future robot could also do my laundry. Sign me up.
Exactly.
But with all these advancements in AI and robotics, it's hard not to think about the potential downsides, right?
Yeah.
The newsletter highlights Elon Musk's criticisms of OpenAI, particularly their shift from being a nonprofit to a profit-driven company.
Right.
What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think Musk's criticism is important to think about because as AI becomes more powerful,
Right.
the question of like who controls it and for what purpose becomes really, really important.
Right.
A profit-driven model might prioritize the money-making stuff over ethical considerations, or the impact on society as a whole.
Yeah, it's scary to think about. It makes you wonder if we need like some sort of global AI rule book or something.
Yeah, it's a tough issue. And there are no easy answers, really.
Right.
But it's a conversation that we need to have as AI gets more integrated into our lives.
For sure.
So, moving on to the robotics world now. The newsletter talks about MIT developing some new safety protocols for multi-robot systems.
Oh, okay. That sounds promising. What kind of impact could this have?
Well, think about all the places where robots are being used already, warehouses and delivery services, even hospitals,
Right.
And as these systems become more complex with more robots working together, making sure they're safe and reliable is super important.
Yeah.
These new protocols could help prevent accidents and make it easier to use robots in even more places.
Okay, so safer robots means faster progress. I like the sound of that. And speaking of robots kind of expanding their horizons, LG has acquired Bear Robotics. They specialize in service robots for the hospitality industry.
Yeah, that's a big move. I think this shows how service robots are becoming more and more common. Places like restaurants, hotels, retail stores.
Right.
You'll probably see more robots serving you food, cleaning your hotel room, helping you find stuff in stores.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. It's crazy how quickly robots are becoming a part of our everyday lives.
It is.
But what about all the people who work in those industries?
Right.
Are they going to lose their jobs?
Yeah, that's a fair question. But remember, robots are often designed to work with people, not necessarily replace them.
Okay.
They can handle those repetitive or physically demanding tasks.
Right.
And that frees up human workers to do more, complex or creative stuff.
So it's more about collaboration than competition.
Exactly. It's about finding the best mix of human skills and robot capabilities to make the workforce better and more productive.
Okay, that makes sense. And now for something completely different, NVIDIA, the company that makes those graphics processing units has launched Isaac Grok.
Oh yeah, that's a cool one.
Is that a reference to like the tree guy from Guardians of the Galaxy?
Uh-huh. Yep.
Nice.
It's a fitting name because Isaac Grok is an AI tool specifically designed to train those humanoid robots,
Okay.
helping them, learn and grow faster. It uses synthetic data to create these virtual environments where robots can practice complex tasks in a safe and controlled setting.
Oh, wow. So it's like a virtual boot camp for robots.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And this kind of training can really speed up the development of these humanoid robots.
Yeah.
Make them better at adapting and, being useful in real-world situations.
Cool. And lastly, the newsletter wraps up with some news that'll make anyone who likes to eat happy form. A company in California is expanding its AI-driven farming operation.
Oh, wow. Robots are taking over the farms now, too.
It sounds like it, right?
So not exactly taking over,
Okay.
but definitely playing a bigger role. AI-powered systems can, make farming more efficient.
Right.
Like optimize planting and watering and harvesting. This could help with labor shortages, improve efficiency, and maybe even lead to lower food prices
Okay.
and more sustainable farming practices.
That sounds like a win-win for everyone, especially if it means cheaper and better food, right?
Yeah, definitely.
But before we get too hungry for the future, let's take a step back and look at what we've talked about.
Okay.
We covered a lot: Bitcoin dips, robot farmers, all kinds of things. What are some of the key takeaways that stand out to you?
Well, one thing's for sure, the speed of innovation in crypto AI and robotics is incredible. It's almost hard to keep up with how fast these fields are advancing.
It's like drinking from a fire hose.
Exactly.
And speaking of being connected, another thing that's clear is how much these technologies are converging.
Yeah.
It's not just that they're all developing separately, it's that they're starting to blend together in really cool ways.
Totally agree. Think about it. AI is being used to make those blockchain systems more efficient and secure.
Right.
And at the same time, people are exploring blockchain to create decentralized AI networks,
Okay.
which makes them more transparent and open. And then you have robotics, which is becoming super reliant on both AI and blockchain
Okay.
for things like, autonomy, security, and data management.
So it's like they're all pieces of a giant puzzle, and they're finally starting to fit together.
Exactly.
And they're creating something totally new and groundbreaking.
Totally.
But with all this talk of robots and AI and, trillions of dollars, it's easy to feel kind of overwhelmed,
Yeah, I get that.
What can the average person do to navigate this rapidly changing world?
That's a really good question. I think the most important things are to stay informed,
Okay.
to be curious, and to never stop learning.
Mm-hmm.
The more you understand these technologies, the better prepared you'll be to adapt and maybe even take advantage of the opportunities they create.
So instead of being scared of the future, we should be excited about it and actively try to shape it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The future isn't just something that happens to us.
Right.
It's something we create.
Yeah.
And the choices we make today will determine what that future looks like.
That's a really good point. So before we get too philosophical, let's continue exploring this Exponential Tom newsletter. What else have they found out about these exciting fields?
So the newsletter wraps up by really highlighting this convergence we've been talking about.
Okay.
This idea that crypto AI and robotics, they're not just all advancing really fast on their own.
Right.
It's that they're actually feeding off of each other.
Okay.
Like they're accelerating each other's progress.
So you're saying it's not just a coincidence that all these big breakthroughs are happening at the same time. They're all connected somehow.
Yeah. Think about how, AI is being used to design better blockchain systems to make them more efficient and secure. And then at the same time, you've got people using blockchain to build these decentralized AI networks to make AI more transparent and accessible.
Mm-hmm.
And then robotics, it's using both of them, AI-powered robots that can interact with the blockchain.
Okay.
And robots that use blockchain for secure communication and data management.
Wow, it's like they're all forming this tech super group.
Yeah, exactly.
Each one bringing something unique to the table.
And this convergence is creating all these possibilities that seemed like science fiction just a few years ago.
Okay, like what? Give me an example.
Imagine self-driving cars that can negotiate smart contracts on the blockchain.
Okay.
Or AI robots that can manage your crypto portfolio.
Wow.
Or decentralized marketplaces where you can buy and sell anything.
Okay.
Physical goods, digital services, and you're using cryptocurrency.
That's a lot to think about. It feels like we're on the edge of some pretty big changes.
Yeah, for sure. It's exciting, but we also need to be responsible about it, right?
What do you mean?
We have to make sure that these technologies are developed and used ethically,
right?
With a focus on people and sustainability.
So it's not just about like, ooh, cool new tech.
Right.
We have to think about the bigger picture, the consequences.
Exactly. We need to be asking ourselves some tough questions.
Like what?
Like, how do we make sure these technologies benefit everyone, not just a small group of people? How do we stop AI algorithms from being biased?
Right.
How do we protect our privacy when data is becoming so valuable?
It sounds like we'll need more than just technical skills to navigate this future.
Absolutely.
We need to think critically, work together, and really figure out what values we want to build into these technologies.
You got it. It's not about just watching this technological revolution happen.
Right.
It's about being a part of it, shaping it.
Yeah.
Making sure it creates a better future for all of us.
I like that, from passive observers to active participants. It's a good reminder that we all have a role to play in the future.
For sure. The future isn't set in stone. It's something we're all creating together.
Right.
Through our choices, the things we talk about, the actions we take.
So to wrap up our deep dive into Exponential Tom today,
yeah,
I'm feeling a mix of like awe at what's possible with these technologies, but also a sense of responsibility to make sure they're used for good.
Well said. We're at the beginning of a really amazing time.
Yeah.
And it's up to all of us to make sure it's a good one for everyone.
On that note, we'll leave you with the future is being written right now. What part will you play in writing it?